Every minute, somewhere in the world, a family hears the words they feared most. Your memory is slipping. And what I'm about to tell you may feel uncomfortable because for some people, it didn't start with age. It started with something small, something ordinary, something sitting quietly on a bedside table or in a bathroom cabinet. A medication. Now, let me be very clear with you. These medications are not bad. Many of them help people every single day. But here's the part most people are never told. In certain situations, especially after the age of 60, some of these drugs can begin to affect how your brain works. Slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. And by the time you notice it, it feels like getting older. But sometimes it isn't. I've seen this pattern more times than I can count. Someone sharp, independent, full of life, starts forgetting small things, then names, then conversations, and everyone says the same thing. Well, that's just aging. But here's the surprising part. Research suggests that in some cases, medications may play a hidden role in this decline. Not always, but often enough that you need to know about it. So today, I'm going to walk you through 8 common medications that studies have linked to memory problems, especially in older adults. We'll go step by step, from the ones most people ignore to the ones that deserve your full attention. And I want you to pay very close attention to number 3, because it's often prescribed for something that sounds completely harmless, yet it may quietly affect your focus and memory over time. Before we go further, I want to ask you something simple. How old are you, and how many medications do you take every day? Just keep that number in your mind, because by the end of this video, that number might matter more than you think. Now, let's begin. The first one may already be in your home. Number 8 is a common sleep and allergy medicine. You probably know it as that small tablet people take at night to help them sleep or calm allergies. It feels harmless. It's easy to buy. No prescription needed, and that alone makes people trust it. But this is where it gets interesting. Some of these older antihistamines work by blocking a chemical in your brain called acetylcholine. Now don't worry about the name. Just understand this. That chemical helps your brain stay alert and helps you form new memories. And as you get older, your brain already has less of it. So when a medication reduces it even more, the effect can feel stronger than expected. You may notice a little more fog, a little slower thinking, maybe forgetting where you place something more often than usual. And here's the part many people miss. It doesn't feel sudden, it builds slowly. Studies suggest that long-term use of strong anticholinergic medications may be linked to a higher risk of cognitive decline in older adults. Not guaranteed, but the risk is there. Now here's the reassuring part. There are newer options that don't affect the brain in the same way. So this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because once you know, you can make better choices. Now let's move to the next one. And this one is even more surprising, because it's not taken for sleep, it's taken for something your stomach depends on. Number 7 is a group of medications used for acid reflux. You may have heard of them. They're often taken daily, sometimes for years, and they work very well. They reduce stomach acid and relieve that burning feeling after meals. But here's something most people are never told. Your stomach acid isn't just there to cause discomfort. It actually helps your body absorb important nutrients, especially one called vitamin B12, and that vitamin plays a key role in brain function. Now imagine this. If your body absorbs less B12 over time, your brain may not get what it needs to function at its best. And this is where it gets risky. Some research has found that long-term use of these medications may be associated with lower B12 levels, and in some cases, memory issues. Again, not in everyone, but enough to pay attention. You might notice more fatigue, more confusion, or small memory slips that weren't there before. And the difficult part is, you would never think your stomach medication could be involved. That's what makes this so easy to miss. Now, before you worry, let me reassure you. These medications can be very helpful when used correctly. The key is duration. Many people stay on them far longer than needed, simply out of habit. And that's where problems can begin. So sometimes, a simple conversation with your doctor about whether you still need them daily can make a real difference. Now, here's where things start to connect. Does something very similar to the first one, but in a much stronger way. And this is where many people start noticing real changes. We'll talk about that next. Now, this next medication is something many people take every single day, and very few ever question it. Number 6 is used for bladder control. If you've ever felt that sudden, urgent need to rush to the bathroom, you already understand why this medication is prescribed. It can feel like a lifesaver. It gives control back. It reduces embarrassment. It makes daily life easier. But here's what most people are never told. Some of these bladder medications work in the same way as that sleep medicine we talked about earlier. They block that same brain chemical, the one your memory depends on. And this is where it gets more serious. Because unlike the occasional sleep pill, this one is often taken every single day, week after week, month after month. So the effect builds, slowly, almost unnoticeable at first. You might find yourself searching for words more often, forgetting why you walked into a room, losing track of conversations halfway through. And again, it feels like aging. But here's the surprising part. Research suggests that long-term use of certain strong anticholinergic bladder medications may be linked to a higher risk of cognitive decline in older adults. Not everyone experiences it, but when it happens, it can be significant. And what concerns me most is this. Many people are never warned. They're told the medication will help the bladder, but no one mentions what it might do to the brain over time. Now, take a breath, because there is good news. Not all bladder medications work this way. Some newer options affect the body differently and are considered much gentler on memory, which means you don't have to choose between comfort and clarity. You just need the right conversation. Now, let's move to something even more common. In fact, this next one might be in your routine already. Number 5 is a medication used to manage cholesterol. And before I say anything else, let me be very clear with you. These medications can save lives. They reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. For many people, they are essential. But here's the part that's often left out. Your brain also relies on cholesterol. Not the kind that clogs arteries, but the kind that helps your brain cells communicate. So when cholesterol levels are lowered significantly, in some individuals, you may notice subtle changes. A little more forgetfulness, slower recall, moments where your mind feels just slightly off. Now listen carefully. This does not happen to everyone. And for many people, these medications do far more good than harm. But studies have reported that a small number of patients experience temporary memory issues while taking certain types. And here's the key detail. Not all of these medications behave the same way. Some are less likely to affect the brain at all, which means if you've noticed changes, there may be options worth discussing. Not stopping, not guessing, just adjusting with proper guidance. Because protecting your heart should never come at the cost of ignoring your mind. Now, take a moment and think. Have you ever started a medication and then weeks later thought something feels different? You couldn't explain it, so you ignored it. That happens more often than you think. And that's exactly why this next category matters so much. Number 4. These are medications given for anxiety or to help you sleep. And at first, they can feel like a relief. Your mind slows down, the tension eases, sleep finally comes. It feels like peace. But here's where it changes. Over time, some people begin to notice something else. Their thinking feels slower. Their reactions feel delayed. Their mind feels quieter than it should, and not in a good way. This is where it gets risky, because studies suggest that long-term use of certain sedative medications, especially in older adults, may be associated with increased risk of cognitive decline. The longer they are used, the stronger the effect may become. And here's the difficult part. Stopping them suddenly can make things worse. Sleep problems return. Anxiety increases, sometimes even stronger than before, so the medication starts to feel necessary, even when it may be causing harm. Now again, don't panic. These medications have their place, but they are meant for short-term use, not something you rely on for years without review. And if you've been taking them regularly, there are safer ways to step down, slowly, with support. You are not stuck. There is always a way forward. Now, we're about to reach the point in this list where things become even less obvious and more overlooked, because the next medication is often given for completely different reasons, and yet it may carry one of the strongest hidden effects on memory. And this is where many people are caught off guard. Let's talk about that next. Now, we're entering the part of this conversation where things become much easier to miss. Because the next medication is not taken for sleep, not for the bladder, not even for the heart. It's often taken for something far more personal. Number 3 is a medication used for depression and anxiety. And on the surface, it seems like one of the safest options available. It's widely prescribed, it's trusted, and for many people, it truly helps. But here's the detail that almost no one talks about. Not all medications in this group are the same. There is one that behaves very differently inside the brain. And this is where it gets important. Some research suggests that this particular medication may affect the same memory-related chemical we've been talking about from the beginning. That same pathway that helps you stay sharp, focused, and mentally clear. Now imagine this. You start taking something to feel better emotionally, but slowly, your focus begins to slip. You lose track of words, mid-sentence. You forget what you were about to say. You walk into a room and pause, trying to remember why. And again, it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels subtle, so subtle that you don't connect it to the medication at all. And this is where many people get stuck, because they believe if it was prescribed, it must be completely safe. But here's the truth. Even well-known medications can have effects that are rarely discussed, especially in older adults. Some studies suggest that older individuals taking this specific medication may show more changes in memory and attention over time, compared to other similar options. Not always, but often enough to matter. Now let me reassure you again. This does not mean you should stop anything on your own. It means you deserve to ask questions, because in many cases, There are alternatives that do not affect the brain in the same way, and that simple switch can make a real difference. Now, take a moment, because what comes next is something many families never even realize is happening. Number 2, these are medications that were originally designed for serious psychiatric conditions, but today they are often used in a very different way. Sometimes for sleep, sometimes for agitation, sometimes just to calm things down. And this is where it becomes concerning, because these medications are powerful. They don't just calm the mind, they slow it down deeply. You may notice less expression, less engagement, a kind of emotional flatness. Family members sometimes say, it feels like they're still here, but not fully themselves, and that's a difficult thing to watch. Now here's what research suggests. In older adults, especially those already vulnerable, these medications may be linked to faster cognitive decline when used long-term or without clear necessity. Again, not in every case, but the risk is real enough that it should never be ignored. And here's the part that truly matters. Many people taking these medications were never fully told what they were. They trust the prescription, they trust the system, and they assume this must be the only option. But often, it isn't. In many cases, simple changes in routine, better sleep patterns, reducing stress, even treating hidden discomfort can improve behavior without needing such strong medication. Now we're about to reach the final point, and this one is not a single medication. It's something far more common, far more hidden, and possibly the most important part of this entire conversation, because it ties everything together. And once you understand it, you'll never look at your medication list the same way again. Now, this final point is the one that surprises almost everyone, because it's not about one pill. It's about several, taken together. Number 1 is something called taking multiple medications at the same time. And I want you to stay with me here, because this may be the most important thing you hear today. Imagine this. One medication slightly slows your brain. Another one affects your memory a little. A third one adds just a bit more fog. Individually, each effect feels small, almost harmless, but together they begin to stack, quietly, gradually, until one day you feel different, slower, less sharp, more forgetful, and you can't explain why. This is where it gets risky, because many people never look at the full picture. They look at each medication one by one, but the brain feels the total effect. Studies suggest that when multiple medications with similar effects on the brain are taken together, the combined impact can be much stronger than expected. Not just added, but multiplied. And this is especially important after the age of 60, because your brain becomes more sensitive to these changes. Now think back to the question I asked you earlier. How many medications are you taking right now? 2? 5? Maybe even more? This isn't about fear. It's about awareness. Because here's the hopeful part. In many cases, when the total burden on the brain is reduced, people begin to feel clearer again, more focused, more present, more like themselves. And sometimes that change can happen faster than you expect, but only if it's recognized. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not someday, this week, sit down with your doctor or your pharmacist and go through everything you take, every prescription, every over-the-counter pill, every supplement, and ask one simple question: do I still need all of these? That single conversation could protect your memory more than anything else. I want you to think about something very personal. Have you noticed any changes in your memory lately? Maybe small ones. Forgetting names, repeating questions, losing track of things more often. If you have, don't ignore it. Don't just call it aging. Sometimes your body is trying to tell you something, and the earlier you listen, the more you can do about it. Now, I'd really like to hear from you. Which of these medications are part of your daily routine? And how many total pills do you take each day? Write it in the comments, not just for me, but for the person reading your comment who might realize they're not alone. And one more thing, your memory doesn't just show signs in your mind. Sometimes your body reveals clues in unexpected places. Even your fingernails can show early warning signs linked to your health, long before serious symptoms appear. Most people never learn what to look for, but in the next video, I'm going to show you a few simple signs. You can check at home in just minutes. They might surprise you. Take care of your mind, ask questions, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one.